There's a very simple question for Bryce Young. What else you got? What else you got? What can you do to show us that you're building? The Chiefs game was a very, very, very nice step in the right direction. The confidence, the way you came out in the first half slinging it, first quarter slinging it, the drive that ended up tying the game, albeit with a little too much time on the clock. There's a lot to like. But how much? This is a question that I am absolutely certain would be frustrating in just about any other profession. How much of last week's success is dependent on following it up with solid play this week and beyond? Think about it this way. I'm pick another industry, right? Imagine if I'm going to try to pick a just random, not implying anything about any industry. Let's talk about like plumbing. You're a plumber. Imagine if you did a great job. You had to fix, I don't know any plumbing terms, fix pipes. You had to fix pipes in a house, and it was a bad situation. And you went in there and you smoked it, right? I'm talking toilets flush like they were brand new. I'm talking no leaks anywhere. I'm talking it's all to code perfect. And you did so quickly. You did so cost efficiently. Imagine if you can go to the next job and at some other house, if you make a mistake over there, suddenly everyone's going to start going, you know, that house previous that you did last week, not that good. We lied. I didn't think it was that good. Yeah, I mean, it works and you did a good job, but I don't like what you did there. You're not as good a plumber as you were last week. That's what happens in football. You go toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes. Steve Spagnuolo, the defensive coordinator for the Chiefs that has a fistful of Super Bowl rings. You went toe-to-toe with them as a quarterback who a month ago, 2 months ago, people had given up on. And you fought back even. Now you have this upcoming week against Tampa. If you stink, no one's going to go like, all right, well, the last 2 weeks he's 50-50. He had a good week and a bad week. It's going to be, I knew it. He was no good. That's why we were worried about it. The Chiefs game, it really wasn't even him. It really wasn't even him.
Look at that O-line.
It was the offense. It was Thielen. It was that there was a miscommunication on the deep ball. It's like, okay, really, we're retroactively changing it. What everybody said about that game. That's how it is in the NFL. Look at Sam Darnold.
Mm-hmm.
Look at Derek Carr.
Yeah.
Remember Derek Carr's first 2 weeks? One of them was against Carolina. And then Dallas. He was an MVP candidate. I said it. I was like, this guy might be the MVP leader. No one's going back and saying, like, that guy was really good those first 2 weeks. They're saying he's had a bad season. New Orleans is in trouble.
That's funny. Dennis Allen, their head coach. Wow, look at this dude. Turn it around. Canned.
Yep. Sam Darnold, the same way. Sam Darnold's even still finding a way in most respects to win games for Minnesota, but because he's not doing it as aesthetically pleasing as he was doing it at the beginning of the year, and because Justin Jefferson isn't putting up 120 yards plus a game, people are looking around going, up, Darnold back into a pumpkin. Some things never change. There is a long runway. And I had to remind someone about this recently. We were having a kind of off-the-cuff conversation about the NFL draft, and somebody just went, how many teams really need a quarterback? Giants need one, Raiders need one, and then they just said, Panthers will probably stick with Bryce for at least another year. And my response wasn't, like, you're wrong. My response was, there's still a long runway for him to firm up his grasp on that job or loosen that grip up and let it slip through his fingers. I was doing this same exact thing in reverse when the world gave up on Bryce. I was going, you should still play Bryce. Why? Because there might be a 1% chance that there's a something you want to build off of there. And there was a 0% chance in my mind that Andy Dalton had something you wanted to build off of. By no disrespect to Andy, just an age thing. So if there's a 1%, if there's a 3% chance you play Bryce Young, now I feel like I'm doing the opposite. Now I'm going, well, there's a chance that these improvements by Bryce, he's been looking better in the last few games. There's a chance that this is just a hot streak. There's a chance that, defenses have been underwhelming or underlooking him, kind of overlooking him, I guess would be the way to put it. And they haven't been giving him the fastball treatment because they didn't think they had to, focusing on other things. I just read a long article on ESPN.com, and it's, I think, behind a paywall, so if you subscribe, you can read it. If not, I'll give you the gist. The headline is basically, what's going on with C.J. Stroud? Because C.J. Stroud was so good as a rookie and not as good statistically this season, even though, Texans are still a good team. And do you know what one of the quotes, and I should have written it down for you. One of the quotes basically said, well, defenses aren't treating him like a rookie anymore. They're treating him like an elite quarterback. Which means last year there was a lot of one high safety. There was a lot of let's stop the run. And then Stroud was beating those less than respectful pass coverages. This year, a lot of too high safety. That's why maybe Mixon is having such a big year. A lot of too high safety. A lot of, hey, we're going to make it so C.J. Stroud doesn't beat us, and he's being tempted into more interceptions. How does Bryce Young respond if/when defenses start respecting the pass a little bit more for Carolina, which I don't anticipate happening anytime soon? Because the run game is still their bread and butter, and Chuba Hubbard, and as that offensive line, and as Jonathan Brooks gets healthy, there's still 700 questions that have to be answered, and 700 might be a low estimate. 700 questions that still need to be answered about Bryce Young before you go anointing him the starter next year. I think you anoint him the starter the rest of this season in search of answers for those 700 questions, but beyond that still needs to be earned, and that, I don't want to say starts, that continues against Tampa Bay this weekend. That continues against a divisional foe that you're going to see 2 times in the last little part of your schedule here, which is a challenge in and of itself. It is a, how do you improve from one to the other? How do you win the chess match from one to the other? It is, if Baker Mayfield, who is a one-time Carolina Panthers quarterback, finds Mike Evans early, do you respond the same way to them that you did when the Chiefs got a quick touchdown? Are you a good quarterback? Is a question that has to be answered often. And if you answer it in the positive, let's say 15 plus times, then maybe you earn the right to answer it negative once or twice. Bryce Young's not there. If Bryce Young has a bad day, this is actually a good question for fans. How many good days does a quarterback have to have before a bad day doesn't send you screaming? Because Patrick Mahomes, if he has a 3-interception, no touchdown day, Chiefs fans are going to be like, that was weird. And then they're going to go about eating their barbecue that people will argue doesn't taste as good as it does here in North Carolina. If Joe Burrow has a 97-yard passing day, doesn't even crack triple digits, Bengals fans are going to go, that's unusual of Joe. Who do we play next week? If Bryce Young has one of those days, Panthers fans are going to be running around like chicken with their heads cut off, screaming the sky is falling and talking about, I knew he was no good. How many good days does he have to put in a row before he can have a bad day and you don't flip out? It's not as many as the 3, or I will call it 2, with the first 2 wins being half good games, and then I think the Chiefs game was a straight up full good game for Bryce Young. So two good games in the last 3 games, that's not enough.
Yeah, you can't do like you had last year when you played Green Bay right around Christmas and you throw for 300-plus yards, team puts up 30 points. Granted, you lost by 3, but then the next 2 weeks you follow it up with goose eggs, literal shutouts. It's like, well, yeah, all the good graces you just earned in that Green Bay game, gone.
It was Christmas Eve, actually, 33-30 loss to Green Bay. Young, as you mentioned, 312 yards passing, which is the most of his Young career thus far. He didn't throw he threw for 202 yards combined in the next 2 games, shutouts against the Jacksonville Jaguars and Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
My point is, you have to answer, yes, that's my job every single week. I don't think realistically they should take it from you this year, but if you want to be the starter next year and possibly beyond, you need to answer positively way more weeks than you do answer negatively. If the question is, should that guy be our starter based on how he plays this week?